Okay, ready? Chronicles of Narnia. We're in the last chronicle, the last book. It's called The Last Battle. And there is the god Tash with one of the bad guys. And we are in chapter 15, Further Up and Further In. See that picture? Let's see if that focuses. Anyway, so remember, they've come through the stable door to another place and have had some fruit and are sitting down to hear about the Calorman soldier that is unexpectedly in Narnia. Well, wherever they are. So, chapter 15, Further Up and Further In. Okay, so this is the Calorman soldier that's talking. "Know, O warlike kings," said Emeth, "and you, O ladies, whose beauty illuminates the universe, that I am Emeth, the seventh son of Harfa Tarkan of the city of Ch15-Further, westward beyond the desert. I came lately into Narnia with 29 others under the command of Rishta Tarkan. Now, when I first heard that we should march upon Narnia, I rejoiced, for I had heard many things of your land and desired greatly to meet you in battle. But when I found out that we were to go in disguised as merchants, which is shameful dress for a warrior and the son of a Tarkan, and to work by lies and trickery, then my joy departed from me. And most of all, when I found we must wait upon a monkey, and when it began to be said that Tash and Aslan were one. Then the world became dark in my eyes, for always, since I was a boy, I have served Tash, and my great desire was to know more of him, and, if it might be, to look upon his face. But the name of Aslan was hateful to me. And, as you have seen, we were called together outside the straw-roofed hovel, night after night, and the fire was kindled, and the ape brought forth out of the hovel something upon 4 legs that I could not well see. And the people and the beasts bowed down and did honor to it. But I thought, the Tarkan is deceived by the ape, for this thing that comes out of the stable is neither Tash nor any other god. But when I watched the Tarkan's face and marked every word that he said to the monkey, then I changed my mind. For I saw that the Tarkan did not believe in it himself. And then I understood that he did not believe in Tash at all. For if he had, how could he dare mock him? Then I understood this, when I understood this, a great rage fell upon me, and I wondered that the true Tash did not strike down both the monkey and the Tarkan with fire from heaven. Nevertheless, I hid my anger and held my tongue and waited to see how it would end. But last night, as some of you know, the monkey brought not forth the yellow thing, but said that all who desired to look upon Tashland, for so they mixed the 2 words to pretend that they were all one, must pass one by one into the hovel. And I said to myself, doubtless this is some other deception. But when the cat had gone in and come out again in a madness of terror, then I said to myself, surely the true Tash, whom they called on without knowledge or belief, has now come upon us and will avenge himself. And though my heart was turned into water inside me because of the greatness and terror of Tash, yet my desire was stronger than my fear, and I put force on my knees to stay them from trembling, and on my teeth that they should not chatter, and resolved to look upon the face of Tash, though he should slay me. So I offered myself to go into the hovel, and the Tarkan, though unwilling, let me go. As soon as I had gone in at the door, the first wonder was that I found myself in this great sunlight, as we all are now. Through the inside of the hovel had looked dark from outside. But I had not time to marvel at this, for immediately I was forced to fight for my head against one of my own men. As soon as I saw him, I understood that the monkey and the Tarkan had set him there to slay any who came in if he were not in their secrets. So that this man also was a liar and a mocker and no true servant of Tash. I had the better will to fight him, and having slain the villain, I cast him out behind me through the door. Then I looked about me and saw the sky and the wide lands and smelled the sweetness. And I said, by the gods, this is a pleasant place. It may be that I am come into the country of Tash. And I began to journey into the strange country and to seek him. So I went over much grass and many flowers, and among all kinds of wholesome and delectable trees, till lo, in a narrow place between two rocks, there came out to meet me a great lion. The speed of him was like the ostrich, and his size was like an elephant's. His hair was like pure gold, and the brightness of his eyes like gold that is liquid in its furnace. He was more terrible than the flaming mountains of Lagor, and in beauty he surpassed all that is in the world, even as the rose in bloom surpasses the dust of the desert. Then I fell at his feet and thought, surely this is the hour of death, for the lion, who is worthy of all honor, will know that I have served Tash all my days and not him. Nevertheless, it is better to see the lion and die than to be Tisroc of the world and live and not have seen him. But the glorious one bent down his golden head and touched my forehead with his tongue and said, son, thou art welcome. But I said, alas, Lord, I am no son of thine, but the servant of Tash. He answered, child, all the service thou hast done to Tash I account as service done to me. Then, by reason of my great desire for wisdom and understanding, I overcame my fear and questioned the glorious one and said, Lord, is it true then, as the apes said, that thou and Tash are one? The lion growled so that the earth shook, but his wrath was not against me, and said, it is false, not because he and I are one, but because we are opposites. I take to me the services which thou hast done to him, for I and he are of such different kinds that no service which is vile can be done to me, and none which is not vile can be done to him. Therefore, if any man swear by Tash, and keep his oath for the oath's sake, it is by me he is truly sworn, though he know it not, and it is I who will reward him. And if any man do a cruelty in my name, then, though he says the name Aslan, it is Tash whom he serves, and by Tash his deed is accepted. Dost thou understand, child? And I said, Lord, thou knowest how much, uh, thou knows how much I understand. But I said also, for the truth constrained me, yet I have been seeking Tash all my days. Beloved, said the glorious one, unless thy desire had been for me, thou wouldst not have sought so long and so truly. For all find what they truly seek. Then he breathed upon me and took away the trembling from my limbs and caused me to stand upon my feet. And after that he said not much, but that we should meet again, and I must go further up and further in. Then he turned him about in a storm in a flurry of gold and was gone suddenly. And since then, O kings and ladies, I have been wandering to find him, and my happiness is so great that it even weakens me like a wound. And this is the marvel of marvels, that he called me beloved, me, who am but as a dog. Eh? What's that? Said one of the dogs. Sir, said Emeth, it is but a fashion of speech which we have in Calormen. Well, I can't say it's one I like very much, said the dog. He doesn't mean any harm, said an older dog. After all, we call our puppies boys if they don't behave properly. So we do, said the first dog, or girls. Shh, said the old dog. That's not a nice word to use. Remember where you are." "Look," said Jill suddenly. Someone was coming, rather timidly, to meet them, a graceful creature on 4 feet, all silvery gray. And when they stared at him for a whole 10 seconds before 5 or 6 voices said all at once, "Why, it's old Puzzle!" They had never seen him by daylight with the lion skin off, and it made an extraordinary difference. He was himself now, a beautiful donkey with such a soft gray coat and such a gentle, honest face that if you had seen him, you would have done just what Jill and Lucy did. They rushed forward and put your arms around his neck and kissed his nose and stroked his ears. When they asked him where he had been, he said he had come in at the door along with all the other creatures, but he had, well, to tell the truth, he had been keeping out of their way as much as he could and out of Aslan's way. For the sight of the real lion made him so ashamed of all that nonsense about dressing up in a lion skin that he did not know how to look anyone in the face. But when he saw that all his friends were going away westward, and after he had had a mouthful or two of grass, "And I've never tasted such good grass in all my life," said Puzzle, he plucked up his courage and followed. "But what I'll do if I really have to meet Aslan, I'm not sure. I don't know," he added. "You'll find it will be all right when you really do," said Queen Lucy. Then they went forward together, always westward, for that seemed to be the direction Aslan had meant when he cried out, "Further up and further in!" Many other creatures were slowly moving the same way, but that grassy country was very wide and there was no crowding. It still seemed to be early and the morning freshness was in the air. They kept on stopping to look around and look behind them, partly because it was so beautiful, but partly also because there was something about it which they could not understand. "Peter," said Lucy, "where is this, do you suppose?" "I don't know," said the High King. "It reminds me of somewhere, but I can't give it a name. Could it be somewhere we once stayed for a holiday when we were very, very small?" "It would have to have been a jolly good holiday," said Eustace. "I bet there isn't a country like this anywhere in our world. Look at the colors. You couldn't get a blue like the blue on those mountains in our world." "Is it not Aslan's country?" said Tyrion. "Not like Aslan's country on top of the mountain beyond the eastern end of the world," said Jill. I've been there." "If you ask me," said Edmund, "it's somewhere in the Narnian world. Uh, Look at those mountains ahead and the big ice mountains beyond them. Surely they're rather like the mountains we used to see from Narnia, the ones up westward beyond the waterfall." "Yes, they are. So they are," said Peter, "only these are bigger." "I don't think those are so very like anything in Narnia," said Lucy. "But look here." She pointed to southward to their left, and everyone stopped and turned to look. "Those hills," said Lucy, "the nice woody ones and the blue ones behind. Aren't they very like the southern border of Narnia?" "Like!" cried Edmund after a moment's silence. "Why, they're exactly like. Look, there's Mount Pyre with his forked head, and there's the pass into Archenland and everything." "And yet they're not like," said Lucy. "They're different. They have more colors in them, and they look further away than I remembered, and they're more, I don't know, more like the real thing," said the Lord Diggory softly. Suddenly Farsight the eagle spread his wings and soared 30 or 40 feet up into the air, circled around, and then alighted on the ground. "Kings and queens," he cried, "we have all been blind. We are only beginning to see where we are. From up there I have seen it all. Ettinsmuir, Beaver's Dam, the great river, and Cair Paravel, still shining on the edge of the eastern sea. Narnia is not dead. This is Narnia." "But how can it be?" said Peter, "for Aslan told us older ones that we should never return to Narnia, and here we are." "Yes," said Eustace, "and we saw it all destroyed and the sun put out. And it's all so different," said Lucy. "The eagle is right," said Lord Diggory. "Listen, Peter. When Aslan said you could never go back to Narnia, he meant the Narnia you were thinking of. But that was not the real Narnia. That had a beginning and an end. It was only a shadow or a copy of the real Narnia, which has always been here and will always be here. Just as our own world, England and all, is only a shadow or copy of something in Aslan's real world. You need not mourn over Narnia, Lucy. All the old Narnia that mattered, all the dear creatures have been drawn into the real Narnia through the door. And of course it is different as a real thing is from a shadow, or as waking life is from a dream. His voice stirred everyone like a trumpet as he spoke those words, but when he added under his breath, "It's all in Plato, all in Plato. Bless me, what do they teach in these schools?" And the older ones laughed. It was so exactly like the sort of thing they heard him say long ago in that other world when his beard was gray instead of golden. He knew why they were laughing and joined in the laugh himself. But very quickly they all became grave again, for, as you know, there is a kind of happiness and wonder that makes you serious. It was too good to waste on jokes. It is as hard to explain how the sunlit land was different from the old Narnia as it would be to tell you how the fruits of that country taste. Perhaps you will get an idea of it if you think like this. You may have been in a room in which there was a window that looked out on a lovely bay of the sea or a green valley that wound away through among mountains. And in the wall of that room, opposite to the window, there may have been a looking glass. And as you turned away from the window, you suddenly caught sight of that sea or that valley all over again in the looking glass. And the sea in the mirror or the valley in the mirror were in one sense just the same as the real ones. Yet at the same time they were somehow different, deeper, more wonderful, more like places in a story you have heard about but very much want to know. The difference between the old Narnia and the new Narnia was like that. The new one was deeper country. Every rock and flower and blade of grass looked as if it meant more. I can't describe it any better than that. If ever you get there, you will know what I mean. It was the unicorn who summed up what everyone was feeling. He stamped his right forehoof on the ground and neighed and cried, "I have come home at last. This is my real country. I belong here. This is the land I have been looking for all my life, though I never knew it until now. The reason why we loved the old Narnia is that it sometimes looked a little bit like this. Bree! Come further up. Come further in." He shook his mane and sprang forward into a great gallop, a unicorn's gallop, which in our world would have carried him out of sight in a few moments. But now a most strange thing happened. Everyone else began to run, and they found to their astonishment that they could keep up with him. Not only the dogs and the humans, but even fat little Puzzle and the short-legged Poggin the dwarf. The air flew in their faces as they were driving fast in a car without a windscreen. The country flew past as they were seeing it from the windows of an express train. Faster and faster they raced, but no one got hot or tired or out of breath. Okay, and next time, Chapter 16, Farewell to Shadowlands. Until then.